Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm an audiologist and I work here at the University of Melbourne. The importance of communication between the audiologist and the patient is that it really should set up, I guess, a good communication model for how others could communicate outside the clinic. It's really important to develop trust and make sure that you develop the beginnings of a relationship, because rehabilitation of hearing loss takes a long time.
I was home one day and I got a call from my daughter who was at school saying that she wanted to come home because she couldn't hear. I initially thought that it was just a blocked ear or something like that and it'd need a syringing out and it'd be okay. So I took her straight to the doctors and they did that. They couldn't find any reason why she wouldn't be able to hear out of her left ear.
There are many different causes of hearing loss. Three main groupings would be congenital, so if you're born with a hearing loss.
My dog's been profoundly deaf since he was born, so to get his attention you need to either tap him, which if he's asleep I don't like doing because he gets a horrible fright, or if he's laying on the floor you can stamp your foot and he feels the vibrations.
Progressive would be if the hearing loss gets worse over time, and that usually would happen as a young person or a baby, or acquired, and that usually happens later in life, and that might be from ageing.
Well, my mother's about 73 and should wear a hearing aid. She has been supplied with, but refuses due to age-impaired hearing. To get her attention I need to either tap her on her arm or stand in front of her or make her look at me in some way so she knows I want to speak with her.
This is an image of our ear, and I'm going to explain to you very briefly how it works together to help us hear. This here is our outer ear, or our pinna, which funnels the sound waves out in the world into our ear. What we find is that sound is picked up by the pinna and sent down our ear canal, which is covered in skin with very fine little hairs that catch any dust and form wax that keeps our ear clean, would you believe. At the end of our ear canal we have our eardrum, which is a very thin piece of skin that vibrates once sound is being sent into the ear. Behind the eardrum we have three little bones, which are the smallest bones in the body, and the main job of these bones is to amplify sound, so it's loud enough once it gets sent into the cochlea, which is full of fluid. So now that you know how the three parts of the ear work together, we can think about where a hearing loss might occur. Typically there are two types of hearing loss. One is conductive, the second is called sensory neural. A conductive hearing loss means that there's a problem with the sound getting to the cochlea. Something's reducing the volume before it gets to the cochlea. That means that there's a problem somewhere in here, in the outer ear, or something's going on in the middle ear. This means when sound comes into the ear, it needs to be louder in order for it to get to the cochlea at the same volume. We call this a conductive loss.
What you think all the grave diggers were gone just 'cause one song is done, there's always another one waiting right around the bend.
The second type of hearing loss is sensory neural. That means there's an issue with the sensory organ, which is the cochlea, or the acoustic nerve, which comes off the cochlea. What we notice with a sensory neural loss is that sound comes into the ear, and by the time it leaves the cochlea, it's not as loud. That is, sound has to come into the ear louder in order for the cochlea to register it and send it on to the brain.
While she had her hearing loss, I found that I had to try and remember to walk on her good side when we were out and about so she could hear me when I was speaking to her. And it's just something you just don't think of doing all the time. You just get into a practice, you just assume that they can hear you.